programs.
So JUCK over.
We cannot allow everything to be stripped away from us because they change the formats around us, the traditions, the stadiums, the uniforms, the rivalries. If we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. Public records requests have gone in by media members to get the data, the information from the internal investigations that the police officers conducted on their departments after the post-game fight for the game. And this stuff has just been released, and it's pretty wild, man. So the post-game, obviously, at Ohio Stadium, when Michigan comes and plants the flag in the middle of the field, a brawl starts, and police come, pepper spray gets deployed. A lot of people got a lot of strong opinions on this. So the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, and they don't know who sprayed first. Was it Michigan police or Ohio police? But we do know that both Michigan and Ohio police were both deploying pepper spray. And the Michigan Police Department was the University of Michigan Police Department that were there on the scene. So one version says it was them. The other version says it was at the same time. Regardless, another report says Franklin County and the Ohio State University police several times deployed spray as officers were on the ground being pushed and shoved by large, highly trained and skilled athletes in full football attire. The players had the advantage on both sides with strength conditioning, protective gear, and they outnumbered the police presence, trying to suppress the growing threat. And when I hear that, like the players had the advantage on both sides, it kind of makes it sound like they were trying to fight the police. There are no allegations of them trying to fight the police, but it almost feels like, I don't know, like you're wording it like it was the police trying to quell a large riot that was about to break out, and they were coming at the police. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They were going at each other. I understand where the police are coming from here. They're trying to break up a fight. They got a job to do. And, you certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially coaches. And we did see some of the coaches fall down and some of the cops fall down. So I fully get it. I just don't know if maybe that didn't get out of hand a little bit. And I think this one here in a second here might be a little way overboard. But one officer states he used a short burst of pepper spray because he thought it would assist in gaining compliance from the aggression. And 3 department officials agreed that all this was reasonable, including the threat of a taser. So you got a guy, Lieutenant Sean Peck, and he wrote that a 300-pound lineman was trying to charge past him. Due to his size and his protective gear, I placed my taser in the small of his back where there were no pads and pushed him away from the crowd, warning him that I was going to tase him. And they determined that that was justified. I'm really glad this guy did not deploy his taser on the field at Ohio Stadium to a player in football pads. That would not have been good. They also deemed that it was justified when Deputy Thomas Bellamy punched a Michigan player who was standing over an Ohio State police officer due to the officer's back and weapon being exposed and the uncertain nature of the player's intentions. He says, I used a single hand strike with a closed fist. That's a punch to the neck area because he was wearing a helmet and shoulder pads in an effort to force him off the pile. So now we're talking about being worried about a player grabbing the officer's gun. I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. That sounds a little ridiculous, but the same officer wrote that he discharged his pepper spray, but he only did it when he was bumped. It was an accident. He didn't mean to discharge it. But the best part of this entire story is there was one arrest in the entire melee. That man was Abraham Clark. Abraham Clark is a Florida resident, but apparently an Ohio State fan. He ran onto the field and got arrested. And when asked by the police, why did you run on the field? Abraham said, to keep Michigan from planting the flag. Now, that's a guy who decided there are some things that are worth taking a butt whooping. And, I don't know. I kind of respect it. I kind of respect Abraham there because that's certainly how I was feeling on the couch watching that thing. When Khalil Mullings talked after this, and he talks, you got 60 minutes to fight, and it's just a shame that they took it to this, and Texas planted their flag on our field. We didn't do anything. Like, Michigan was already in the locker room. Ohio State fans and former players were extremely mad that Ohio State did nothing in 22 when Michigan planted the flag. And some people think this is a ridiculous reason to fight. And I just, the people that don't understand that think they should have looked the other way. I think they're folks that just, I don't know, don't understand what a 22-year-old dude is like when they're being disrespected. Like, that is the utmost form of disrespect, and it is intended to be the utmost form of disrespect. Michigan wanted to provoke them. Ohio State responded in the way that they did because Michigan provoked them. If they hadn't, they would have been roasted mercilessly. You're in a lose-lose situation, right? You do it, you get in trouble. You don't do it, you look like a sissy. I fully support what they did. They defended the stadium. It was a beautiful thing to me. And I would feel the same way had Ohio State tried to plant the flag at Michigan, and Michigan the same way. I've always been consistent about this. I never liked James Franklin, and I came on here after the USC Penn State game and said right on here that I have a newfound respect for James Franklin, as there was a clip of Penn State players trying to plant the flag at USC when they beat them earlier this year. And James Franklin came over to his players and ripped the flag out of their hands and said, "No, you're not doing that." James Franklin understands how disrespectful that is and what that means to the other team and what that's going to lead to. So I get it. Some people aren't wired that way, and that's great. It's not really a good way to be wired, but there are codes some men live by. And there are certain things like, if you break the code, you expect to fight. That's just what it is. Like, I'm 45 years old now, but I was once a young man and lived by a lot of these codes. I've lived in places where codes where if you reach over someone's lunch tray, that's a fight. Like, if you touch their foot with a broom, we're fighting. Like, there are just codes. That's certainly one of them. Michigan overstepped the bounds. And the thing about this fight is it is now going down into, like, we're going to see this every year, every hype video. What do they show now? They show Boston and Charles Woodson fighting on every hype video. Like, that fight, we will see for the rest of our lives before the game is played. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship. Something stupid is coming out of his mouth. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing? Season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football. This guy is a bonehead. They love him. I question your judgment as an adult. I really do. I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it. Get us back our sleeves and say, bring me that. That's the one I want.